As I've grown, I'm an even more firm believer that our experiences that we endure and will endure are the bodice of our personal design. As a child, we are sheltered whether we know it or not. Our situations may not provide physical proof of said sheltering, but if you look back, you realize there are things your mind itself sheltered you from. Other people may deem your mind not mature enough to understand these situations, but in my opinion, that is not the case. Our minds are fully aware, but they shelter us in order to protect us. That is called our innocence. When I look back to my childhood days, I realize how innocent I was to so much, but I also realize how mature I was then too. I had a really great childhood, but despite all that, I still had the very bad sprinkles. Sometimes people you trust ruin said trust. But at an age like that, it never fully registers until a later age, and then you have a fear against these people, and you can't fathom where it came from. And then, the only person you can rely on is sick and has no control over when they can and go in or out of the hospital. You mature for the sake of your sibling, or at least that's how it was for me. I learned from an early age that the only people I could trust fully were myself, my mom, and my sister. It was our little triangle. Others always ended up proving themselves not to fit. I will let you in on a secret that I learned in 2017. Family, despite sharing the same blood, can have no other connection to you. It sounds harsh, but it became my reality that I fought with for 3 years before 2017. When my grandmother, from my dad's side, died on my birthday in 2017, it felt like someone finally snapped all restraints on me. I had no one holding me to attach me to that side of my family, which was my torture and my torment. It was a clean cut for me. Yes, I worry about my siblings from that side, but that's it. Another secret many should know is that labels are redundant and ridiculous. They give power to hierarchy and separation. This is not just within families, but within the world itself. We all see it, but we just turn a blind eye to it. My education was a bit confusing. I was, and still am, a bright child. Moving around, however, was the confusing part. Because of people we had to keep avoiding and removing ourselves from, I switched schools and sometimes counties themselves. In my whole school life, I was above peers mentally. My classes were advanced, and when I switched to a new county that did not offer those certain classes that I was already in because it was too high, I had to walk from middle school to the neighboring high school. It's an achievement I am proud of. And when it was offered to me, I grabbed early college as soon as I could for 2 reasons. 1, I knew financially I wouldn't be able to go to college on my own. And 2, because they offered a high school plus college experience, it meant higher classes. But tell me, why is it that you get bullied for being different? I have to say, however, going to early college was my best decision. I came out with my high school education and 2 college degrees. And the best of all, in 2009, a friend came up to me in the mess hall to introduce me K-pop for the first time. I was already the type of person to be insanely into all types of music, all around the world. Of course, I was stuck on depressed music and emo stuff, but for some reason, K-pop drew me in more than the rest when she showed it to me. As I mentioned last time, she started me off with DBSK. It was melodic, and then she showed me Balloons by them as well. I loved how diverse they were. She then showed me Abracadabra by Brown Eyed Girls. I was hooked immediately, and I really don't regret a thing. My outlook on life took a turn when I was introduced to K-pop. Throughout my life as a high schooler and the later years of middle school, I self-harmed and I stayed quite recluse. But I got into so much new music that I stopped self-harming and slowly started to open up more. The music and language itself opened brighter doors for me. Instead of finding destructive outlets for myself and my stress, I used creative outlets. I was already a creative person. I wrote poems and lyrics, drew, painted, and I even sung. I even had a poem published in a nonprofit book back in 2010, thanks to my literature teacher. But the music itself showed me that despite how happy a song can sound, the lyrics itself can be heart-wrenching, and it can go quite the opposite as well. The song can sound sad, but it actually means something happy, but just be slowed down. It's just that we as people, we never took the time to understand those lyrics because they weren't natural to us, because they weren't our language. But just because we don't speak that language, or one language, or another language, it doesn't mean we shouldn't understand them or try to understand them. We should not disregard the others. Everyone has a voice, a right to speak, and everything we say is important.